Oh.
It's recording.
Okay, so for those of you who might have been at the earlier panel today, actually raise your hands who was at the earlier panel today.
Nice.
Okay.
So you guys know the secret to the answer of life. The rest of you, I'm sorry.
Yes, you're sorry, we only gave out so many answers to the secrets of life. We'll go over that at the end of the So we'll give you a brief preface to this panel. This panel is called Yuri and Tara Kicking It Old School.
Yeah.
So let me break it down! We don't know what that means.
We're not quite sure what that panel entails.
Yeah, so
we were just told we were doing that.
Right. So instead of kicking it old school, we are probably going to take up. I know there were a lot of questions from the last panel that we did in here that didn't get answered, and perhaps some others of you might have questions that we'd be happy to answer. So probably a lot of this panel will be answering your questions. And then as we're answering your questions from time to time, we might come up with some weird story that we're reminded of.
And then we will tell them.
And then we'll just go off. So why don't we start this one off with questions, if you have any.
Yes, there are questions.
Apparently there are a couple of questions.
Yes.
How do you recognize in public, or how do you introduce yourself to a fan you didn't necessarily know who you were?
Okay, so the question was, have we ever been recognized in public, or did we ever have to introduce ourselves to a fan who didn't know who we were? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes, we have occasionally been recognized in public, conventions aside.
But not that often.
Not that often.
That's the beauty of being a voice actor, is that most people don't know what you look like in real life. And we've noticed a funny thing when we come to conventions. The first day before we've done any panels or any signings or anything, people just walk right by because they don't know. But the more panels and the more signings we do, the more people start to recognize what we're wearing and so on, and then we get picked out more often.
Yeah.
But there have been times when people walk up to even to the autograph table.
And they're like, who are you? Wait, what do you do?
Right.
Well, what would I know? And you're like,
Right.
I don't know what you would know, but what do you watch? Okay. Like,
Right.
how are you supposed to know what titles they are going to know? Like, it's just sort of funny.
So it is an interesting, odd sort of job to have, because you hear our voices a lot, and sometimes you hear our voices not only in a totally different context, but we're changing our voice one way or another. So even if you came up and started talking to us, you wouldn't necessarily know.
Although it occasionally has happened, we're totally in the middle of public, we'll be going to a restaurant or something, and somebody will come up and go, oh my gosh, are you Yuri Lowenthal? And you have to go,
Which is
yeah.
funny because they said it to her.
I know, and I was like, no, actually, I'm Tara. And they're like, oh, okay. Do you know Yuri Lowenthal?
My mom says that when she watches, because she's still, God bless her, she watches the shows that we're on. She says she'll watch the show, it'll be Legion of Superheroes, Superman will be saying something, and she'll say, that doesn't sound like Yuri at all. And then she'll turn around, she'll be in the kitchen, and she'll hear it and not see it, and she'll go, oh, it sounds just like Yuri. That happens even to my mom. I hope that answered at least some of the question. But over here, sir.
Okay, two questions I had from earlier that I never got asked. First, do you ever cosplay as any of the people you play?
And what's your second question, and then I'll come back.
And then my second question is, what do you think of the YouTube series Naruto the Abridged series?
What do we think of Naruto the Abridged series?
Yeah.
On YouTube?
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
I have never seen it.
Is it?
Is that like without filler? Is that basically what the Abridged series is?
Wouldn't that have been sweet? No filler?
Or is it condensed? Is it like the complete works of Shakespeare abridged, where they do the entire canon?
It's pretty much a condensed version of the series, only they pretty much, it's more of a comedy series.
Awesome. So it's like, I hate you too. Let's go kill someone. Okay.
And it's also it's also making fun of some of the stranger aspects of the plot, like Sasuke being evil.
Right.
I would actually, if I go on YouTube and type in Naruto abridged, will that pop up?
Yes, a million videos will.
So is it a fan dub?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Awesome. I do not know what I think of it because I haven't seen it, but I would love to watch it. In answer to your first question, I have a little story for you.
Here we go.
About cosplaying. I was working on a game called .hack, and there was a, I love that game. And the producer, we were taking a break, and the producer went out for a smoke, and I went out and followed him, and we were just talking. Because I stalked producers.
Oh boy.
So we were just sitting out on the front step waiting, and he says, so have you ever cosplayed any of the characters you've played? And I was like, no. Not because I didn't think that it was cool, I explained further, but because inevitably, I know that if I dressed up as any of the characters and cosplayed any of my characters and gone, went to a convention, that inevitably there would be like 10 guys and like 6 girls dressed as my character who did it like 100 times better than me. And I just really dig it. Because, ostensibly I'm supposed to be that character, and I show up in my shabby costume, and there are all these people with these really awesome costumes, most of whom are here today. And so I said, so no, but that aside, if Haseo from .hack has the best outfit in the world, and if I could get away with wearing that in public, like, to the supermarket, I would totally wear that.
Awesome.
And he just sort of nodded. And then the next day, I show up for work, and he said, so we were talking to the lead designer on .hack, and they said that if we spent a lot of money and made you the best Haseo costume in the world, would you wear it to Anime Expo? That's sort of what happened. I was like, because half of me was like, yeah, and half of me was like, what am I doing? Am I actually going to do this? And the part of my brain that won that day was the part of the brain that said, you said you'd do it, So I said, okay, let's do it. And so they sent off to China and spent a lot of money on having these people make this awesome Haseo outfit, and I put it on, and I went to Anime Expo, and there were 10 dudes and like 6 girls dressed as Haseo with costumes 10 times better than me. So I haven't done it since. That's my cosplay story. Sir, White.
You've probably heard this question a million times, but since I haven't heard the answer, when you originally got into it, it was just like a casting call, and you show up, and that's how you get into it, or do you know someone, and they're like, hey, you should try this out? How do you actually get into it?
Do you mean specifically for like Naruto, or you mean in voice acting in
For
general?
voice acting in general.
It's a mixture of different things. They do have casting calls for the different, programs and, shows, movies, commercials, and everything that we end up auditioning for and sometimes working on. Sometimes it's a very broad, they cast a very broad net, and they call all the agents in the city and say, send us your best clients and this and that. Sometimes, if that particular studio or production company doesn't have a lot of time to see a lot of people, they'll say, okay, what actors in the voice acting community here in Los Angeles, for example, do we know who we've worked with before that we can trust or whatever to do the job, could be for these roles? And then they don't even cast out a general net. They just go, okay, call Yuri, call Tara, call Johnny, call Liam, call, Travis, whoever, and bring them in. So sometimes it's a much smaller, and on very rare occasions, they'll go, who'd be perfect for this? Tara would be perfect for this. Just call her and see if she'll do it. It depends. So sometimes you've got a lot of people showing up, some of whom the production company or the cast of people don't know really very well. Some you've got only people that they know really well.
And also sometimes what happens is the production companies want to hear new voices. They want to hear people that they haven't heard before. And so occasionally they literally will sort of make it more like a casting call, is what you're talking about, where they just sort of say, looking for new voices, blah, 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 and then people just start to show up. And that's how they start to cycle through and get new people involved. But 90% of the time, they contact people that they've worked with before because they know that they're reliable, they know they're professional, they know they'll show up and do the job. And so that's the way that people tend to get more work is, you get recommendations because you've worked with people before, but they also remember you and have you audition for new projects.